This movie, honestly, I was a little bummed out about the title because then we had to come up with a new name for our show.
Welcome back to HIVEMIND Unlimited.
And welcome to another episode of our movie series, How Did It Age? Today's movie is a 1994 film called Dumb and Dumber.
Oh.
It stars Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels.
Correcto mundo.
Is it Jeff Daniels, right?
Yeah, Jeff Daniels, Michigan's very own.
Michigan's very own Jeff Daniels.
Yeah, absolutely. Should I take it from here?
Please.
Here's fun fact alert. Originally, this movie was conceived by the one and only John Hughes.
Famous for a bunch of 80s movies, such as The Breakfast Club and Pretty in Pink.
Oh, well done, Riley. He sold it over to the Farrelly brothers, those being Peter and Bobby. Peter, who directed this, Bobby, who co-wrote it with a handful of other people, and asked for his name to be removed from the credits.
Yeah, he probably didn't love the final product here, but at the same time, the Farrelly brothers, not to be confused with the movie Step Brothers.
Nope.
Will Ferrell. Those are some Farrelly brothers.
Nice.
Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly were some Farrelly brothers.
I think when they were writing it, the original title was going to be called Ski Nuts, and the idea was just that it was two dumb guys in Aspen for a whole movie.
Yeah.
Which, like, is enough maybe for, like, a mid-90s movie where it's like Aspen's just like the epitome of money, and then you just set two ridiculous dudes loose there.
They said to John Hughes, "Did you come up with this movie?" And he's like, "Depends who's Aspen." Keep it going.
Peter and Bobby have a lot of credits under their belts as brothers. They've done Kingpin, Osmosis Jones, Shallow Hal, Fever Pitch, Stuck on You, Hall Pass, and they produced The Ringer, which is just
which is just one of those movies that a lot of people have been asking us to do for this series that I don't know if we're
not going to touch it yet.
Not yet. I think we need to build up our powers. We need to get to the peak of our powers, our apex mountain, before we're allowed to touch The Ringer.
Yeah. The funniest thing here is once Peter sheds the dead weight of Bobby, he goes on to direct The Green Book, which wins Best Picture in 2018. It's a movie where Mahershala Ali goes around and he's playing the piano. It's like a true story. Peter Farrelly has a Best Picture under his belt after directing Dumb and Dumber. Yeah. Dumb and Dumber, 94. 2018 Best Picture, The Green Book.
Peter Farrelly, you may know him from Dumb and Dumber and The Green Book.
Yeah, exactly. It's just hilarious. This movie was a massive box office hit. It made $247.3 million against the $17 million budget. It is rather universally loved by fans, critics, here and there on it. It has a 67% on Rotten Tomatoes, 7.3 on IMDb, which is pretty great, and then a 3.4 on letterboxd. It is the start of a trilogy. Dumb and Dumberer is the second one that came out that has just been universally panned. I think it has a 10% on Rotten Teas. And then in 2014, Carrey and Daniels returned to do Dumb and Dumber 2.
Which is the third one.
Yes, which is...
right, and it's spelled T-O, Dumb and Dumber 2. Well, wait, did What's-His-Face do it? Did Roger do it? Did he do the review of it, Raj?
Such a good question, man.
It's a great question. It's part of the show.
I know. We love Raj. I'm on it, Raj. He was in his fucking prime when this movie came out. So was I. I was just being born. Ever since then, it's went downhill from there, sweetie.
That's kind of his apex mountain.
Hey, my apex mountain. Hey, the prime of my years was 1 to 0. That's me doing a Dangerfield. Roger Ebert gave it 2 out of 4 stars, which seems about right for like a mostly physical comedy movie. And the first line of his review is, "The purpose of comedy is to make you laugh. And there's a scene in Dumb and Dumber that made me laugh so loud I embarrassed myself." It got him.
Yeah, it got him.
But the 2 out of 4 makes sense for him. It's not like the most sewn together perfect movie, but there are just outstandingly hilarious moments for sure.
Would you like to hear my synopsis?
Let's hear it, daddy.
If you haven't seen this movie or you haven't seen it in a long time, here's what happens. Lloyd and Harry are a match made in heaven. They're of below average intellect, but experts of optimism. They always feel as if they're one lucky break away from fortune and love. Lloyd is working as an airport limo driver when he experiences love at first sight with a passenger named Mary Swanson. After Mary leaves her briefcase in the airport, Lloyd grabs it and chases after her but fails to deliver it to her. With his new excuse in tow, he recruits his best friend Harry and his mutt-cut sheepdog car to chase Mary to Aspen and return her briefcase. What he doesn't know is that the briefcase was ransom for Mary's husband who has been kidnapped. Harry and Lloyd's boys trip quickly turns into a high-intensity, cross-country chase with lethal implications. but they're too dumb to notice.
Yeah.
Hilarity ensues. They're kind of
Yes.
driving across the country to go chase this woman because Lloyd's in love with her. And you learn a lot about the guys throughout that. At one point, and they're in a heart-shaped hot tub talking about past loves, and you learn some very revealing stuff about their dynamic.
It really is like it's a journey movie. It's a trip movie. It's a road trip movie with kind of its climax at the final destination of Aspen.
Yeah, Final Destination.
Yep. How about that? The Farrelly brothers had no idea who Jim Carrey was when they went to cast this movie, which is pretty funny. They sat down and watched Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, and that's kind of when they decided to do it.
Yeah.
They really wanted Nicolas Cage for the role of Harry.
Wow. Whoa.
He quoted them too high out of their budgets and then eventually turned the role down to go do Leaving Las Vegas, which is the only movie I think Nicolas Cage has ever won an Academy Award for and is like regarded as his best serious movie and is just a great movie in general. So the career fork in the road there that could have happened for Nicolas Cage, he kind of seems like he can do anything. But if he goes on to do Dumb and Dumber with Jim Carrey and never does Leaving Las Vegas,
right.
I feel like it's a totally different world. You know what I mean? There might be peace in the Middle East.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, domino effect.
Yeah, you never know.
Effect. But Nicolas Cage, I mean, it would be weird for him to have the trajectory of Jeff Daniels, who went on to do not much else.
To do a bluegrass band.
Well, yeah, that's true.
The Jeff Daniels band.
Yeah, that's actually true. I've oh my God, this is all coming back to me at once. I have a random friend in Detroit who records with Jeff Daniels.
Yeah, of course.
He's like it's like Jeff Daniels is friends with this guy's dad, and he just like goes there and records at his studio and like hangs out with him.
He's like a quintessential Michigan guy.
We literally could have had him on this episode. Like I am one text away from Jeff Daniels.
Fucker.
Well, if we do Dumb and Dumber or Dumb and Dumber 2,
we won't.
Yeah, well, we might if Jeff Daniels says, "Hey, I want to come on."
Sure,
Jeff, we filmed these in Detroit. If you're watching, if this gets sent to you somehow, we record these in Detroit, and we would love to have you on to take a stroll down memory lane.
Maybe that'll convince him too.
Because of the ass?
Yeah, because of me eating
It was like
ass.
him eating ass.
Jeff's ass.
He was eating your ass, Jeff.
Jeff Daniels was only paid $50,000 to do this movie.
That's fucked up.
And they offered that to him as like they tried to shoo him away. They were like, "Yeah, we'll give you $50,000 to do this," thinking he'd be like, "Why would I do that?" And he said, "Thank you." And his management and everybody was like, "No, don't do that. It's ridiculous." He did it for $50,000. Whatever, becomes a career-defining role, obviously.
Did they pay him more afterwards? They had to, like, after they made $250 million.
You usually don't have in your contract like a share of revenue.
No, I know, but I'm saying they should have at least been like, let's get a Christmas bonus over to Jeff.
Let's give him a.
He's half the movie that made us $250 million, and we gave him $50,000.
Yeah, $250 million in 1994 for a comedy is unbelievable. This script obviously is ridiculous, and I feel like really only works with Jim Carrey. It's funny to learn that over 100 actors apparently turned down the roles of Lloyd and Harry, including like Martin Short, Steve Martin, and the beautiful Rob Lowe.
Yeah, Rob Lowe really in his prime back then, and when I say prime, I mean he was doing really creepy shit, and you can look into that.
Coke.
He was doing creepier stuff than that.
Kids.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Martin Short and Steve Martin, honestly, are like, I wish I had thought of that as a recast, because they could easily be Dumb and Dumber.
It would be way cheekier.
It'd be cheekier in like 1950s comedy.
A little slicker.
Like,
it wouldn't be as like.
Yeah, I guess so. I think that's what you get out of this more than I do.
Dude, he poops in a toilet.
Yeah, that's the worst scene in the movie easily, and the rest of it's
great. I'm not saying that scene was good. Quit criticizing me before I even said anything. Yes, to Jim Carrey's chipped tooth, it was genuine. It was from a childhood fight with a classmate, and he just got the cap removed.
Okay, so there was a choice for the character to have that, but then he got it's like normally fixed.
Yes,
and then that he went on to not have a chipped tooth the rest of his life.
Yep.
Now, before we get into our sections, had you seen this movie before?
You know, I've seen it in 25-minute sections, probably in total on Comedy Central. Growing up, I'd be like, oh, it's fucking Dumb and Dumber again. And just by appearance and the style of comedy I liked, like as a preenie, and then a tweenie, and then a teenie, and then a young adulty, and then an adult, I was always kind of like, ugh. I just didn't like how it looked. I didn't like the bowl cut, the chipped tooth. Like, it just looks like... Like it appeared like something I wouldn't like. And so, no, I don't think I ever sat down and watched it front to back.
Yeah, it was like the movie equivalent of a bop it. It was like a lot of, it was like a slapstick, but I am the same way. I had seen it in pieces. I had never sat down and watched this movie. There were multiple scenes that I watched that I had not seen. I didn't even like instantly recognize a ton of things from it other than like literally like the diarrhea scene and like some of the stuff from the very beginning of the movie. And then like the middle, I was like, oh, I've seen this scene. It's really just like a few lines. Like I had seen like the line where he's like, so you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
I was so unfamiliar with this movie that I've seen the blue and orange ridiculous tuxedos so many times.
Yeah.
Courtside NBA games. You know what I mean? People do that as like a stunt with their buddies all the time. I didn't even know that that was what it was from. Yeah,
there's tons of Halloween costumes and tons of, I think there's like literally a TikTok duo who does this. Yeah. They dress up like that.
Yeah.
You know, like it's still a thing.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, Riley, this movie is full of one-liners. What are some of your favorites?
I was very surprised by how clever the writing is in this movie. I thought it was all going to be, like you said, people falling downstairs and shitting their pants and stuff. Yes. And honestly, I thought that the writing, it was pretty good. One of my favorites at the beginning of the movie is like he's chasing Mary Swanson through the airport with the briefcase like I talked about, and he's running and then he gets to the flight and they're like, sir, you can't go down this way. He thinks he's running onto the plane to give the briefcase to Mary. Really, he runs all the way down and falls off the end of like the jetway. And then he's back at home and he's talking to Harry and he's like, how was your day? And he's like, not bad. Fell off the jetway again. Just like it's saying this happens all the time.
I love in the beginning of that scene where he's like, sir, you can't go on there. He's like, it's okay. I'm a limo driver. His like confidence that he has a credentials of a limo driver, can get him in anywhere.
Yeah, he like runs into the door frame in that scene too. Like
there are a bunch of good lines when he's first picking up Mary. I love when they get in the car and he's like, obviously like, he thinks she's so beautiful. And he goes, going to the airport? You got a flight to catch or flying today? And she goes, thinks he's like joking. Is like, yeah, how'd you guess? And he's like, well, I saw your luggage and I saw the ticket. Put two and two together. Like
he's like proud of himself for figuring it out and like legitimately saying that.
And it like wasn't just the luggage. It was also the airplane ticket. He needed more confirmation. It was like, well, I saw the luggage and then I saw the airplane ticket and I just put two and two together. It's awesome. And then I love the delivery. And this caught me off guard too, because as two people who haven't seen it, he goes, name's Christmas, Lloyd Christmas. And then we had the bit about Christmas, the hedgehog or whatever.
It's the skunk show, Dr. Goodtimes and Mr. Christmas.
Oh yeah, it's Duncan the Hedgehog.
Yeah, Skunk and the Hedgehog. Yeah. So that's what you were thinking of.
Yeah, that's just funny.
I wrote, it's not a line, but it is funny writing to me that his name is Lloyd Christmas and he's in love with a girl named Mary. So if she marries him, she's Merry Christmas.
Yeah, and he's like fantasizing about it at the end. He's like, Merry Christmas. And you're like, what's he talking about? And then you're like, oh shit, he's imagining his wife. The writing is so clever, and I think they're allowed to be so dumb because in so many little in-between moments, they eke out like intelligence.
Oh, they're too smart for their own good in a lot of ways.
And that's like what, I just read reviews of the second one, and the second one's like, oh, they've just chose the lowest common denominator, and it becomes just the poop and stupidity jokes. And like this continuously allows itself to be stupid because each character shows you that they like really know what's going on or have these big plans at times and they like work out, but then their skills just are super inept socially.
Right. They're oblivious and they also can't really read.
Yeah.
Like that's like one of the things.
Lloyd can't.
Lloyd can't really read, but he does eke out a line. And this is where it really stood out to me. He's trying to convince Harry to go to Aspen with him. And he's like, a place where the beer flows like wine, where beautiful women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. I'm talking about a little place called Aspen.
Yeah.
He cannot read and says they flock instinctively like the salmon of Capistrano. Like that is not an illiterate person who is saying something like that. Yeah. And I love that they do that. Like there's something really clever about them being smart but really dumb.
Yeah, I think that gives them the grace to do things later in the movie. Or like when, he pulls the scheme on Seabass in the diner. We'll get to that later in scenes, but like that's like a smart, like shiesty little clever move where he's like, points over at him, and Seabass points at the table, gets their bill paid for him, and they're like on their way.
Because he says, like, he asks them what if they want to do shots,
Yeah.
or if they want beers, and then they say they want shots, and he's like, all right, we'll go get you those.
Yeah.
We're sorry about what happened earlier. Goes to the front and is like, that table wants to pick up our tab.
Yeah.
And then she's like, Seabass does, and like looks over, and he's like, yep. To say like, bring the shots over here. And then they're like, all right. And then they pick up the tab, and then he gets chased by Seabass.
Yeah. While we're still in the diner, I love the line of Jim Carrey's like being such a goof in the diner, and he's like leaning down on the table, and he goes, what's the soup du jour? And she goes, it's the soup of the day. And he goes, that sounds good. I'll have it. There's so many good lines. Like, no one ever gives or like gets the answer to like a question. Everything's like either like a snarky retort, or they just like you've learned the base of what they're asking, and then they're satisfied with that.
Yes.
It's so great.
One of my favorite lines in the movie, and I know it's talked about a lot, but is they're getting pulled over by the motorcycle cop, and the motorcycle cop is like, pull over. And he's like, no, it's a cardigan, but thanks for noticing.
As he's holding 4 beer bottles full of
piss. Yeah. Because Jim Carrey has the bladder of a camel and keeps peeing into consecutive bottles.
Yes.
Somehow the changeover doesn't.
It's easy.
Yeah, it's easy.
I love that Jim Carrey line where he's like, well, just stop going. He's like, I can't stop going. Once I start, it stings. Okay.
Does it not sting for you? Have you ever had to try to stop peeing?
No, I can binge it off. I could literally cinch it with like a bread tie and it'd be fine.
Well, yeah, but that'd be different. Like if you use something to stop it. I'm saying like if you like just are like, and you like clench to stop.
No, because I've whenever I've had to like pee in a Gatorade bottle, I've done it on a road trip or something. I often fill it up.
Right.
And I'll dump it out and I'll hold it closed and then I'll do it again.
Okay, yeah.
Doesn't hurt.
It like does feel, it's a weird feeling for me if I stop it. I don't know if stings is the right word, but it, like I hate the feeling of like when I stop myself from peeing.
Oh yeah.
Rock and roll.
I love the early Harry line where he's like, I spent all my life savings turning my van into a dog. Just that is hilarious.
And then what did they say? There's like, he spent like a specific amount of money on one tiny thing for it. It's like $200 on something.
Maybe making it bark or something.
It's the horn. It is like turning the horn into a bark. Yeah, it's very funny. This line has to be talked about. It's at the end of the movie, so we are jumping around, but this is one of my favorite comedy moments in any of the movies we've done for this series, honestly. At the end of the movie, they're walking, a tour bus full of bikini girls pulls up next to them.
Yep.
And the girls get out of the bus. They like stop, get out of the bus. And one of them says, hi guys, we're going on a national bikini tour and we're looking for 2 oil boys who can grease us off before each competition. And Harry Dunn says, you're in luck. There's a town about 3 miles that way. I'm sure you'll find a couple guys there. And the bikini girls are like baffled and they're like, all right, thanks. And then they get back on the bus and they start driving away. And then Lloyd turns to Harry and is like, oh, do you realize what you've done? He like grabs him by the side of the face. They run after the bus going, hey, hey. And then they finally get there and Lloyd's like out of breath. They open the door. He's like, you'll have to excuse my friend. He's a little slow. The town is back that way.
That's the best.
It's such a great setup because obviously, you know, you're fully expecting him to say, we'll be the oil boys.
I feel like that joke works so good as like the final bit too, because you don't even really expect Lloyd to say we'll be the oil boys at this point.
Right.
You've like, you see him running, you're like, oh, he's just going to tell him to go the other way because they are literally we were at the end of that movie and I literally, as he was running up, I was like, he's going to tell him to go. Yeah. It's actually that way. Yeah. You kind of learn it like early on, which is a great line where he's like, I'm going to turn you into a betting man by the end of the day. Yes. And he's like, nope, I don't bet. And he goes, $20. I'll give you 2-to-1 odds. And he's like, nope. And he goes, 3-to-1? Nope. 4-to-1? No. And he's like, 10-to-1. He's like, all right, you're on. And then they shake. And he goes, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it. And he's like, already won the bet. He's like, no.
He already made him bet. So he's won the bet by doing that. It's like, it's so good. There's like so many of these little moments. I think there's like too many to count in the movie where I was like, wow, they really like wrote this. They didn't even have to.
No.
Once you have Jim Carrey there, it can just be physical comedy.
Yeah.
They wrote a lot of really good, funny dialogue in this movie.
Totally. One of my favorite lines, it's not even really a great setup of a joke, but I do love love it. It's when they are staying at the second honeymoon motel. And it's like a romance, sexy hotel with a jacuzzi in it. And they're sitting in a jacuzzi together. Jim Carrey's listening to the people having sex.
With a glass.
With a glass next door. And I love that he cleans it out. That's like a great, subtle physical comedy thing. Like, he's listening. He's like, oh, it's not coming through clear enough. He like wipes it out as if that's going to help it come through clear. But then as they're sitting there drinking beers in the heart-shaped jacuzzi, he says, there's only one thing that would make this better. If you had a nice set of knockers. And then Harry looks at him and goes, that's two things, Lloyd. And they're like, yeah. And then he goes on to say how he would like bang the shit out of him. Like he'd show him what a real man was like. Yeah. And they're just like laughing. He's like, oh no, I would mess you up.
Yeah. It's like he really shows himself to be such a pervert in that moment. Oh, yeah. And then like you get more of it. Like every time he talks about true love, he will end it by being like, I just want the chance to bone her. Like, I want to bone her. You know?
I love too a quick little Jim Carrey line when they're working their way across the country. Is well, according to the map, we've only gone 4 inches.
Such a good line.
That's dumb line, but it's amazing.
Similar stupid line I love from Harry when he's talking about this girl from she's from like Scranton or something. She's from somewhere in Pennsylvania. He's talking about she's like the one that got away, and he's like, yeah, she gave me a bunch of crap about me not listening to her or something. I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention.
She sends him a John Deere letter, and then she calls him up complaining about how he never listened or whatever. I wasn't really paying attention. I love a Harry line where they're at the gas station and he's outside and he kind of he's filling up the dog with gas, and he strikes up conversation with the girl who we later come to find out is the FBI agent. Yeah. Who's like tailing them, whatever. And he's like, those your skis? She's like, yep. And he goes, both of them? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, oh. He's like into the fact that they're both. And then she has a weird line that she also fixates on that is so funny. He's like, yeah, I'm going to Aspen. I had to get away from my boyfriend. He's such a klutz. Oh, yeah.
And that line is so funny.
It's so funny that she has to escape her boyfriend because he's a klutz.
Yeah. And then later she's like drunk. She's like, oh, he's such a klutz. He's listen
like,
to this.
Tripping over. Like she's like scared of him because he's so clumsy. That is like a great mindless little detail.
And I love, honestly, that it's like, this isn't the joke, but it is still funny, is that these two guys are so clumsy and knock a bunch of shit up, fuck everything up. Like they're like honestly worse than a klutz. They're purposefully disregarding their surroundings in every moment. And so it is funny that there are a lot of clumsy moments where she's around. Yeah. And she's just complaining about her klutz boyfriend.
Her boyfriend must have been really bad. I love once Lloyd takes control of the wheel and he like takes the wrong exit and he heads towards Lincoln. Yep. And they like wake up in the morning. Harry's like, how long was I out for? And he's like, about 5 hours. And it's just the plains of Nebraska. And Harry's like, I would have thought the Rocky Mountains would be a lot rockier than this. And Lloyd goes, that John Denver's full of shit. I love that line. Yeah.
I mentioned the what are my chances? And like you're saying, there's a chance, all that. I do love the follow-up line to that, which is when he finds out that she has a husband. Yeah. And he turns to her offended and is like, husband? Wait a minute. What was all that 1 in a million talk? Like he has a 1 in a million chance. And he's like, what was all that 1 in a million talk?
You little slut. Like once we get to Aspen, Jim Carrey gets on like another level because also Harry just decides to like do his boy wrong. Like they get all the way to Aspen and then Harry like.
Well, that's when you know, because you already have found out as the viewer that Jim Carrey stole that girl from Harry. So he's just getting it back in blood. He's getting his lick back. Jim Carrey's getting his lick back on his boy Harry.
Yeah, okay. When they're at the ball and they make some ridiculous comments about women when they walk by anyway.
Oh, it's awful, but it is funny.
But this one, when they're at the ball, says, look at the fun bags on that hose hound. I'd like to eat her liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. Eat her liver? He goes like full on Jeffrey Dahmer. Oh, yeah? He's look at the fun bags on that hose hound. I would eat her liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
I also like the contrast that they do have is like Jim Carrey is dumb and like kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like he's like a creepy scoundrel.
Yeah.
And Harry's like almost too dumb and kind of the sweetheart for that.
Yeah.
So like at one point Jim Carrey's like, look at the ass on that one. And then it's a guy and a girl walking and he goes, Harry's like, oh yeah, I bet he works out. He's like talking about the guy's ass, which I think is, whatever. It's funny. There are a lot of misogynistic lines in this.
Oh, yeah.
There are a lot of homophobic lines in this.
Oh, yeah. We'll get to that and how it would be different.
Oh, whatever. Fine. We can do it your way. Fine. We'll keep it category by category. I'm not even allowed to say it.
One of my last line that I do want to say is during the bedroom altercation between Mary and Lloyd, he's rehearsing what he's gonna say to her while she's in the bathroom and how she makes him feel like a little schoolboy who's falling in love, and he can't get the words out once she gets out of the bathroom. He goes, I desperately want to make love to a schoolboy, and she's like, what? No, I should go. And he's like, oh, it's not what I meant.
Yeah,
that's just good.
I hate that line. I
love it because it's a little boy and Jim Carrey.
Scenes that age the best and
Yes.
worst. All right. One thing at the beginning of the movie that I absolutely love is when Lloyd is driving Mary in the car. He's the limo driver, and he asks her if she's nervous for her flight, and she's like, oh, something like that. Because, I mean, you find out later she's delivering ransom for her husband who's been kidnapped. So that's what she's really nervous about, but he thinks she's nervous for the flight. Then he looks back at her while driving and never breaks eye contact with her. He never turns back to the road, and it's like, it's actually more likely that you'll die on the way to the airport than on the flight. That's a fun fact for you. It's actually more dangerous to be in the car. More people die in the car and, whatever. And he's like doing that and cars are swerving and all this stuff. And then she's like, eyes on the road. And he's like, good idea. A lot of bad drivers out there. I love that whole scene. Is great. It's like really, really Jim Carrey delivering it, like hamming it up straight to the back seat, and you just see the whole chaos happening.
It's awesome. To end that scene, or not really the complete end of it, but I hate it's like you don't know Lloyd or really the characters well enough, and the hug at the airport is like so creepy. Mm-hmm. He's like, how about a hug?
Yeah.
And he's like, He's like, I hate goodbyes. And he's like, even later on in his fantasy about Mary, there's some just like really awful stuff that he like is thinking about. But you like learn the character later. And then in that fantasy, it's almost like, oh, well, yeah, of course Lloyd would think like that. But that early hug, I was like, it set a bad tone for me.
Well, it's one of those movies that definitely in, the first act, I was like, there's no way the guy gets the girl in this movie because it would set a terrible example.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that is the case.
Yes.
And as weird and probably also creepy in certain ways Harry is in this movie, he's definitely the sweetheart. And so like he gets the one tender day with Mary.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like,
and he fights her.
Well, yeah.
Like literally, boom, shoves her face in the snow.
Well, yeah, like they kind of build up nicely to that, though. I like that they have like the chemistry of she likes that he's goofy, and he's messing with her, and he's not like these serious rich guys she's usually around. Right. But then it gets to a place where they just take it over the top, and he's slamming her face in snow and like just rocking her with a snowball. At one point.
It's the classic, you've seen the trope so many times where like oftentimes it's like older woman interacting with like juvenile, and they're like trying to flirt, but then he doesn't realize that they're really flirting, and he just starts like roughing her up like one of the gang. And it's like he even stands up from that. It's like, come on. Yeah. And then they just start laughing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, Will Ferrell and Elf with Zooey Deschanel.
Yes, exactly.
Like she's like an adult and he's acting like a kid. Yep. And she thinks that that's cute and they're messing around. And that's kind of what it is. Yeah. And then also it's like Albert Brenneman, Kevin James, and Hitch. Yeah. Where like he's like a screwball messing things up, and that's what she finds endearing. Yeah. And this movie just like parodies that.
And Mary's bitch, because her husband's being kidnapped, she's lost the ransom money, and she has a cute date with the big dumb guy on Mountain.
She thinks her husband's dead.
Oh, fuck.
And that her mom is the one who pushed for her to go on a date with Harry Dunn. Oh, sorry. Stepmom is the whatever. Also, his name is Harry Dunn, which is funny because he's getting the Harrys of all these dogs done. These dogs need to get their Harry done at Mutt Cuts.
I love when the trip just gets started and Harry's criticizing Lloyd for getting a little snack at their first stop. And he's like, that wasn't in the budget. And he's like, I made 25 extra bucks. And he's like, how'd you do that? I sold this and that. Petey. And he's like, you sold my headless parakeet? to a blind kid. He's saying he sold stuff to the blind kid
Yeah.
in the apartment complex. And then it cuts to the blind kid who's like, nice bird, sweet bird, who's just petting a bird's head taped back onto its body. He's like, Polly, want a cracker?
Yeah.
And then the reprise of that blind kid later as Mary is watching like the nightly news, and it's like the Menendez brothers, which is funny that that's the news of the time.
Yep.
And it's like, and in other news, the blind boy who was duped in buying a dead bird. And he's like, I just thought he was quiet.
Yeah. And then she's like, oh, what kind of sick people are there? Like, are these
it's
people?
just
Yeah, what kind of
such a-
sickos are these people?
It's such a funny callback that, like, to bookend the Menendez brothers story is just that happened earlier. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's basically like Lloyd is even more of a sicko than the Menendez
exactly.
brothers, you know? I did write down just like while we were watching, I was like, Jim Carrey's physical comedy in this one is like unlike anything I've ever seen. It's even above like Chris Tucker in the Friday.
Yeah.
It's beyond that. And I was literally thinking like, was anybody watching this after they filmed it and they're like, this might have been too much?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it sometimes feels like that, and I'm glad that it exists how it does. How does Jim Carrey show up and make all of these choices and it's still a movie?
Imagine like what didn't make it too.
Oh, yeah.
Because like you don't just, he's not like, oh yeah, I'm going to throw the whole bowl of peanuts in my mouth, spit it out. And then that's the joke. He's trying 75 other things.
He's like, I'm going to spray the ketchup and the mustard onto my mouth, and then I'm going to put it back on the thing and spray it up and try to catch it.
Yeah.
I'm going to run while the car is, it makes me feel like I'm getting somewhere.
It's like you're running at incredible speeds.
Like he is killing it. He is doing like a perfect hour and a half of physical comedy.
It's unbelievable.
Crazy.
That leads me to like probably my favorite scene in the movie is his fantasy about showing up at the Swanson's residence in Aspen with the briefcase. There's the problematic kind of in the beginning. He picks Mary up. First off, there's doves behind her.
Yeah.
And this is like the happiest accident in the movie because there's no way they could have planned this. All the doves come up behind her besides one. And you can just see its little wings behind her and it's like stuck, like almost in her dress. And it's like, and they're like still having this beautiful moment. And like 4 seconds into the scene, it like wedges its way out and is like, ugh, and gets out the side. And it's like, I was like, are they giving her wings? And then it's like, and like, so even the doves are like sloppily released.
Yeah.
But then he picks her up, heaps at her ass or shows her ass to the camera rather. And it's like, okay. But then his whole fantasy is just like holding court with the family.
It's just like doing comedy in front of them.
He's like, that's not my friend, as I was in a ski mask. And everybody's like, oh! And then he like throws something at someone, puts the peanuts in his mouth, spits it out, is like throwing glasses around. Everybody's just like weak with laughter. And then it like goes to a dinner scene where Mary's there and like Mary's lover or someone comes over and starts kissing her arm. And he, fueled with rage, breaks the dude's arm over his shoulder and then starts a full-on karate sequence, like a kung fu battle with everyone that, you know, ends in him ripping the heart out of what is the chefs maybe? Like the final boss is an Asian chef who he reaches his hand into his chest, puts it in a doggy bag and gives it to him to go. But that whole scene and sequence is like, I feel like they don't even write that until they see a little of Jim Carrey.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, well, yeah, we could just make this ridiculous kung fu comedy scene. That is just unbelievable.
This is Lloyd's fantasy.
Yeah.
Is saying like the stupidest joke ever and everybody is
laughing.
yucking it up.
Yes.
And then he just gets to keep going. I was like, that's crazy.
He speed bags the guy's balls.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is fantastic.
We mentioned the diner scene before, but the exchange with the truck stop ruffians and Seabass and crew is like a great scene. I love the spit, and then he gets over on him, and that like kind of just sets the tone that they are being chased, and they don't even really know it.
I don't like where it ends. I'll say that.
How does it end?
Seabass.
Seabass.
R-words him.
Yes.
There are a lot of things in this movie that I was like, okay, that, you know, that hasn't aged well. Like that joke, you know, like whatever. There's a lot of homophobic jokes, like I was mentioning, misogyny, etc. That one, I was like, holy shit. I was like, there should not be that type of thing happening in this movie. It did not need it.
Yeah.
It did not need Jim Carrey clutching at the walls of a bathroom stall, being like, no.
Yeah.
and it says like ultimate man love.
Manly love. Be here
Manly
at
love.
2:15.
Yeah.
Yeah, the homophobia is very spoiled, aged out, rotten in this movie.
Yeah.
We'll get more into that later, but there's a couple more scenes.
Later? Where are we going after this?
After this, I believe we'll do How Would It Be Different Today, which feels kind of like a good section for
I thought it was scenes that aged the best and worst. I feel like, you know what I mean?
So you think the manly love scene aged the worst?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more, really.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably the scene I
Your
would
tone
choose.
was, I kind of like...
Yeah, you think that's the scene that aged the worst.
Okay, so you think Jim Carrey had an incredible performance otherwise with all the physical comedy in this movie?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I do love the piss bottle pullover. That whole scene's really good. You mentioned the cardigan line. That cop is Harland Williams.
Yeah.
Who you might know from killing the police horse in Half Baked. He's like the guy who gets so stoned that he feeds the police horse the whole pizza and then it kills him and farts. And then it's a great scene. And he's also in Freddy Got Fingered and a bunch of other stuff like kind of from this time. He's a funny character. He looks funny and sounds funny. And that's like his good purpose in this.
Oh, quickly before that, I just random trivia question. I'll give you $500 if you can tell me who's playing Superman in the new movie.
What?
New Superman.
Oh, I've seen a trailer for it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I don't want the money.
Okay, sweet.
Who is it?
It's like David Hornswet or something. Some guy I'd never heard of.
Well, yeah, I was picturing the trailer and I was like, I don't recognize this guy. How would I name him?
Yeah, I know. I mentioned because I said to Hunter, I was like, "Who's this guy?" And he was like, "I don't know. I've never seen this guy in my life." And then he was like, "Come to think of it, I don't really know many of the Superman guys."
No, yeah, it's
the guys who play Superman. He's like, "I don't know that I've ever watched a Superman movie all the way through."
Well, there's Ken
Jennings.
Ken Clark, right?
Clark Kent.
Clark Clint.
Clark Kent's the name of the character.
Clint.
Yeah.
Clint, the Superman. All right, dude. Can I get back into the movie?
Totally, but I just thought it was a nice little detour to have a trivia question. You love money, so I thought maybe you would want the $500.
Money. Money's my kryptonite.
A crypto night at Graydon's house Thursday. We're having a crypto night at Graydon's. Bring your Ethereum.
Bring your Dogecoin.
Bring your Ethereum.
The Dante's Inferno scene after they pick up their one like mobster as a hitchhiker,
right,
is pretty awesome because it's like the Dante's hottest food this east of the Mississippi. It's like a funny slogan on it, and then they're in there.
I like when they pick them up too, and Jim Carrey's like, "We usually don't pick up hitchhikers, but I got a good feeling about you." Like,
saddle up.
Yeah, he just, they're driving and they go, "Ooh, these people need a ride too. Throw them in the back."
Fellas, can we turn on the radio? And he's like, "Radio? You ready, Harry? And they just sing Mockingbird, and then he gets them to stop doing that. Jim Carrey just goes, "Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound ever?" And he's like staring, and he just goes, fucking screams at him. It's the most unhinged. You see them truly like this guy can't even he can't not kill them. Like he even reaches for his gun at one point, and they just keep doing the most annoying shit ever.
He wants to kill them because they have the briefcase, and then he kind of forgets about that, and then realizes he just has to kill them because they're so goddamn annoying.
And then they end up killing him.
They not on purpose though, I would say.
Well, right. He goes in to drug them with the rat poison. You figure out which bottle has the rat poison at the phone booth. They go in. They've spiked his burger with peppers. He goes into. He has an ulcer. And
because he's been taking some medicine for that throughout the movie. He's popping pills the whole time. This is a gangster guy
in a very different pill bottle, and then he goes down with the ulcer. Jim Carrey tries to give him CPR. Again, you kind of have the slight homophobia of don't fucking kiss me. He's holding his mouth back. Whatever.
Jim Carrey keeps trying to do it, but
when he says "move away," I know CPR, and he grabs his legs and he goes, "Hey!"
He just shoves his legs like this. Yeah. He's like, "I know CPR." Yeah, it's crazy because they also just they just put the hot peppers on his sandwich and they're just waiting for him to take a bite. He's trying to have a conversation with them to glean information, and they're like, "How's that burger?"
They're like, "Oh, do you don't want to say that on an empty stomach?"
Yeah. And then he finally he sweats, starts sweating like crazy and falls, and then yeah,
that's a good scene at Dante's
and then he's like, "Oh, give me my pills," and then they go and grab the pills from his jacket, and it's the rat poison, and so he dies from the rat poison on the floor.
There's another funny phone booth scene with that same gangster that I really love earlier when they're at the Second Chance Motel. For whatever reason, I forgot to look up who the actor is, but there's just this spicy little Jewish guy in the trench coat who's like, "Hey, I need to use the booth too. And he like turns away from him. And then this guy gets like fired up because he turned away. He turned his back to me and he starts like pacing around with anger as if he's going to do something to this guy who is twice his size. He's like, ooh, turn your back on who? You did what now? And he goes back up and he's like, sir, I have to use the phone. And then he gets punched. He gets his light through the glass.
Yeah, through the glass.
And then he's like, sorry, mister. What was that? It just knocks. I just love the confidence that random character has.
Yeah.
Turned his back on me. Okay. He's like all fired up.
I recognized that actor too,
Me
but
too,
I don't
yeah.
remember who he is.
I just forgot to look it up. He played a dad or something in like some later 90s movie. I don't have much else on my favorite lines or other things that aged bad. I have the Turbo Lex poop scene. You know, that's just like...
Well, yeah, that scene has always just been like what I know about this movie.
Yeah.
And I don't like diarrhea humor.
Yeah.
It's not as bad as I remember.
It's not as bad as solid poop humor. That's the worst.
No, well, there is some solid poop humor out there, though.
Yeah, totally. But it takes a sharp blade of sophistication in order to write that.
And it's not always charming, but you're gonna want to wipe it up with something.
Yeah, and you don't want to get the movie can't get clogged up.
Right.
Yeah.
And piss and poop and penises.
Yeah. And you can have a good day with some poop humor, or you could have a bad day.
Oh, bad day. Oh, bad day.
Like
I like that. That's actually
Yeah.
nice. That's the thing that sprays your ass from behind.
It's the horny water jet that can make you go cum.
Yeah. Also, you wrote down the snow owl. The
Snow owl ball. That whole scene is like
Well, it's just
unbelievable.
the owls are so fake.
Well, that's part of it. Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that's one thing that aged bad is the owls are very fake.
Yeah.
And I didn't
It's like
it's pre-Hedwig.
Yeah.
They didn't really get it right until they did the Chamber of Secrets.
Maybe my favorite part from that whole thing is when Harry goes over to supposedly set up Lloyd. Lloyd's waiting at the bar and he just keeps striking different poses. He'll like throw his jacket up and be like,
Yeah, he's literally like doing this at one point. He's just like
throwing his ass out. Yeah. He's like poking it out.
Yeah,
it's so awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's trying to look sexy.
Yeah.
He also they do his hair nice for 1 second,
Yeah.
and then he gets it back to the bowl cut at the hairdresser.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Jim.
Jim Carrey.
Totally Jim.
James Carrey did the best performance.
It's unreal. Jeff Daniels is a great foil.
Yeah.
He's like really does serve as a good balance, but like in 94, he's in the zone. He does this, Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, and The Mask, which are all very different.
I've seen all of those except The Zone. I don't know that film.
Well, he's
but-
in the zone.
No, I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just haven't seen it, so
Yeah.
I didn't know he was in it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
AutoZone. Wow.
I just put less gay jokes, definitely no R-word assault scene, and less misogynistic.
Obviously, you can just X out the Seabass bathroom scene. That's like easy to remove. To me, the thing that like how homophobia is used interpersonally in their relationship and like just how it's a punchline. It's like sometimes it's all right because they are so stupid. And if like you give in to the idea of like, oh, these guys are scared of anything gay because they're so dumb. It almost can work, but it would need like a retooling.
Yeah, because it is like, I mean, they're saying a lot of stuff like he like at one point is like, what are you, a homo?
Yeah.
Like that. And then he's like, if you had boobs, I would be banging, banging the shit out of you.
Yeah.
So there are moments where it's like you can't, they're like poking fun at themselves for being homophobic, I think. But it's hard to read all the time in a 94 movie.
Totally.
It feels like sometimes it's just normalized enough.
And I think it's just played for the audience more often than not.
Yeah.
Like in the hot tub scene, that's fine because they're both just so ridiculously dumb that he's like, well, if my best friend had boobs, hubba hubba.
Right.
Like,
that's still a fine joke to make.
that's
like, it's
fine.
whatever.
But then more like in the rest of the instances, it's like, hey, what are you, gay or something? And then you can see that, you know, in the audience in 94, they're like, gay.
Yeah.
Which isn't good.
It's kind of the same with the misogyny in the movie too. It's like it's a little bit aware of itself because it's like Jim Carrey does not get the girl.
Yeah.
And like they are supposed to be very dumb and not know how to charm women.
Right.
They're supposed to be bad guys in a certain way.
Yeah.
And at least dumb guys, not evil, but they're bad guys.
Yeah.
And so some of it is, I don't want to say justified, but like you get where the angle is.
Totally.
And some of it just feels like, oh, this is just aged out. Like people weren't thinking about misogyny the way that they are now. So I gotta be Harry. You gotta be Lloyd. If there are movie producers out there that want to write us a Dumb and Dumber spiritual sequel, we'll knock it out of the park. Home run, grand salami, flip the bat. Oops, I got fined $50,000, and the soundtrack's by MJ Lenderman.
Oh, nice. I'd do it for 50 grand.
Huh?
Like Jeff Daniels did it for 50 grand.
I wrote that before I knew that the 50 grand thing happened with what's his face?
Jeff Daniels. Yeah.
Jeff Daniels. Yeah.
I'd do it for 50 grand. My recast is Riley as Lloyd and Riley as Harry, and then I want to play the bad guy.
How am I gonna play two people?
Hello, Michael B. Jordan. Are you a vampire or are you killing him? And Ryan Coogler, please direct it.
I haven't seen Sinners.
Well, joke's on you. Michael B. Jordan plays his cousin too, and himself.
Oh, fuck.
It's not a spoiler, dickhead.
That's the first time that's ever happened, though, and I didn't know.
Medea goes to Dumb and Dumber's town to find out vampires have ruined her home city.
Jack and Jill, Adam Sandler plays 16 different Dumb and Dumbers.
Yeah, I mean, this has been done 2 other times. They did recast it for the second one, and it was a bunch of...
They did?
Yeah. Because the second one is like how Harry and Lloyd met. So it's like
when Harry met Lloyd. Jesus. Instead of Sally.
Get a fucking word out. It's like, holy shit.
Sorry, I was trying to build off. It's a comedy castle, and I just put a few bricks down while you were getting the foundation up.
Shout out Mark Ridley. Look it up, bitches. It's a local spot. Cool.
So wait. It's recast though. But are they playing themselves though? They're playing Harry and Lloyd still. Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels.
What?
You said it's recast for the second one.
Yes, the guys who play Harry and Lloyd are different. It's not Jeff Daniels and Jim Carrey.
That's what I'm asking.
All right, but you said it in a confusing way.
No, I didn't.
Yes, he did. And then in the third one, I believe it's Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels back again. Jeff Daniels proudly got his bag that time, and it still stunk.
So wait, are Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels not even in the movie?
In the second one, I don't believe so, no.
They're not in it.
No, it has a 10% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I don't think that's true. I think they are in it.
I hate working.
That's not my fault.
I hate working. I have a terrible work ethic. I hate it.
I know you do, but
I really hate it, dude. Yeah, not in it at all.
They're literally...
Dumb and Dumberer stars Eric Christian Olsen, Derek Richardson, Sherry, whatever. God damn it, dude.
Okay, sorry.
It's shocked. Like you got no faith in humanity.
I don't have faith in you because often you say something that I checked, and then it's not the truth.
Oh, do I?
Yeah, sometimes you do that.
Bitch, put on a fake pair of shoes and walk in mine for a day.
Are you wearing fake shoes? That's the only way that makes sense.
Fake, yeah.
Fuck, okay. Well, let's get you some real shoes.
You said you wanted to splash out on me and give me new shoes. I'm going to splash out on you,
get you some real shoes. You know? Let's get you some goddamn real shoes. God damn it.
Soundtrack time. Damn it. All right. They asked Todd Rundgren to do this soundtrack. Yes, thank you. It was a great call.
Yes.
I love Todd Rundgren. The opening track, for me, really sets the tone of hilarity. It's like a 90s reggae track called Boom Shakalak by an artist known as Apache Indian.
You're still doing the frustrated accent?
Oh, am I
from
really?
The character before? Yeah.
Oh, shit, my bad.
Yeah, if you just go.
Todd Rundgren got asked to do the soundtrack.
Yeah, much
we
better.
fucking love Todd Rundgren.
We really do.
I mean, come on. Yeah. Jesus. It's funny that this movie shares a song with Vanilla Sky, which is Todd Rundgren's very own. The only original song of his that he contributed to the film, which is Can We Still Be Friends? Which is fitting. It comes at the tumultuous point in the friendship of Harry and Lloyd in Aspen when it's like, feud is on, back in blood.
Yeah. Lloyd was mad at Harry for getting his lick back.
But otherwise, the score is like, it's very fun, and it is like kind of late 80s, more early 90s, I would say, how it sounds. And it's very goofball. It's almost Beverly Hills Cop at
it's
point.
Also all over the place.
All over the place. And that goes to show that like when Peter Farrelly got Todd Rundgren to do it, he says, there's a quote from him from like a year after the movie. He was like, oh yeah, Todd did a wonderful job, but he never really understood what was going on in the movie. He said it was basically just Todd plugging in songs. They were like, oh, Todd, 2 of the best friends are fighting. And he was like, well, I guess I'll use my track.
Right.
Or like, hey, Todd, they're looking This is like kind of a romantic scene. Got it. He's like, Todd Rundgren did not get the sense of humor, couldn't follow the plot, and was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, and just plugging in songs. And it very much feels like that the whole time.
Yeah, love interest name is Mary, so he's like, oh, I'll do Mary Boone.
Yeah, exactly.
Song,
it's very on the nose.
I was very grateful to be reminded of that song because I remember my dad playing it when I was a kid, and I forgot about it completely. It's a song that's like, Mary Boone, Mary Boone, Mary Boone. Yeah. She's a vegetarian. And then it's like the punchline in that song is like, she don't eat meat, but she sure likes the bone. Ugh. Which is gross, but also the song is like, I think my dad was like, this is funny.
There's a Butthole Surfer song in it, which is awesome. And then there's another funny one of those instances where like someone calls Lloyd or Lloyd calls someone like a pumpkin pie head son of a bitch, like just like a random thing that Jim Carrey definitely squirted out there. And then Todd Rundgren puts in the ballad of pumpkin something, and it's like a very just like on the nose cue like that. And it's
like a last minute school assignment for Todd Rundgren. And he's like word association.
Oh shit, he said pumpkin. I know a song that has that in it. Boom.
Yep.
But it's fun, you know, subtle little because if you rewatched it, you'd be like, oh.
And if the soundtrack was different, it wouldn't really make any difference. That's a Todd
really love me.
You just did not love me.
God damn it.
Yeah, that's a Todd Rundgren song.
Dickheads.
So look that shit up.
Look that up, you little ass. Fuck on that bone, Gen Z.
Look that shit up, bitch.
All right, dude.
Yeah, Google that shit, asshole. Yes, I honestly had not really all the way seen it. It was much better than I thought it was. Obviously, I have my qualms. I mentioned those earlier, but I was laughing hard at this movie.
Yeah,
I was like,
we got a great laugh.
We were both like, wow, this is much better than we thought.
I said maybe it would depend on like the comedic style or like whatever interpretation of the person I was talking to.
If they watch you, if they like your stuff, they're going to like this.
Yeah, everybody in college always said that I reminded them of Jim Carrey, and I didn't come around on Jim Carrey until like probably I was like 26 or something, and so I was always super offended by that in college. I was like, fuck Jim Carrey, I'm so much funnier than them. I don't really understand why you guys would compare me to such a little freak.
Yeah, right.
But now I realize it's because I'm long and I'm weird, and I resort to physical comedy a lot of times.
Yeah, totally.
Weird.
I gave it 3.5 stars, and my review is Jim Carrey is an alien.
Nice. I gave it 3 stars, and I said Apex Mountain for physical comedy.
It's crazy that I brought up Apex Mountain earlier, and then that's cool because we wrote these before. Like it wasn't.
Apollo, we have liftoff.
It's come out of a cock.
Yeah, mine.
Gradins, sorry.
Booyah!
I should have said that earlier.
I had a great time. This is like, honestly, my favorite instance of How Did It Age is like a classic comedy, buddy comedy that everybody in the world seemingly have seen and we really haven't. And then we go back and watch it and we actually glean a little joy from it. And it wasn't like, oh, well, no shit. That's why I didn't watch it because it always sucked and I always knew it. This was like, would you look at that?
Yeah. It gives me more context for Jim Carrey's career too.
Totally, yeah.
In my mind, I was like, oh, he was flying like the 5,000 miles an hour in 1994. And then I feel like I only really got like the tail end of it, which was the early 2000s movies that he did. And then his like turn to serious stuff and then back into some more like mainstream comedy stuff. I never really like had a grasp 100% on what Dumb and Dumber meant for his career until watching it. So if you want to know what movie we're doing next for this series, join our Patreon or become a member on the main channel HIVEMIND. We post them a week before so that you know what movie we're going to be covering so you can watch that movie and have a little more context coming into the videos. That's only $5 a month. It's a great way to support us and you get exclusive extra videos every single week over there. So thank you for all the support over there. Other than that, this has been How Did It Age? This has been HIVEMIND Unlimited. Drop it down in the comments which movie you'd like us to cover next, and we'll see you in the next one.
We love movie, and you should too. Thank you. Bye.
What's with the tie?
I don't know. I feel like it's like something maybe Lloyd would wear or something. Like this feels very Dumb and Dumber to me.
Do we usually like dress up?
No, we don't.
Yeah, we don't.
I know that.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not stupid.
Okay.
But it's kind of funny.
I mean, I guess. Yeah.
Hello, ladies.
That seems like just a guy on cocaine. I don't know that you're doing much of a... Do you think anybody's going to tune in and be like, oh, hell no, he's wearing a tiny little candy-ass tie. I'm not watching that.
And that's because they're homophobics, and I don't want them here anyway.
They're homophobics? Do you think like little ties are just for gay guys?
Hooked on homophobia. That's what they are. They're hooked on it like I was hooked on phonics in 3rd grade.